drinking in sunshine. I gotta look at you.
Whereabouts? Alaska. The specter of...
Okay.
Good.
Why the hell is Cooper Howe?
And I'm lucky to have...
It's good.
All right, good. Here we go.
Oh, Coop.
We gotta get...
Who's ready for cake?
All right. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't...
The thumbs up.
Tell him just like this. They told us not to bother with cow posts. We take it as it comes, right? Well, let me see.
Repair skills. I enjoy compared to my dad's, but I always fencing Team C, riflery. Gardening, also with my dad. My reproductive organs are intact, for a reason.
Excited for us to raise our kids together.
The popular video game franchise Fallout is the basis for the television series that is now available on Amazon Prime. The first 8 episodes of Season 1 open with a horrifying end to the planet. We can't help but wonder how the tales of these major individuals will connect when Episode 1 gradually exposes them to viewers. Let's get right into the recap without wasting any more time. A well-known cowboy actor and his son perform for the guests at a child's birthday party, setting the stage for the season premiere. In the midst of this celebration, the news reports provide a quite different picture of growing tensions and, yes, even nuclear war fears. The celebration goes on despite the cowboy appearing to be the target of several jokes, including his unwillingness to offer a thumbs up for a picture, as others choose to ignore the harsh facts of life. When the party comes to an end, the son of the cowboy inquires about it and finds out that his father was a Marine in the past, and that the thumbs up was used to determine the proximity and risk of a dropped nuclear bomb. The small child is inside the party enjoying cake when he notices a flicker of dazzling light. He uses his thumb to calculate the power of the nuclear weapon that is far away. When his father, who had just returned with a piece of birthday cake, notices the nuclear device, chaos ensues. The prologue concludes with the cowboy and his kid trying to escape the city on horseback as more nuclear bombs are detonated nearby. 2 centuries later, Lucy, a resident of Vault 33, is introduced to us. She lives beneath the wreckage of a demolished Los Angeles, California. She has a go-getter mentality and is bright, gregarious, and positive. In order to start generating offspring for the future generation, she is prepared to make the leap and get married. She gets ready to marry a man from Vault 32 that she has never met after receiving clearance from the council.
To her song, you may see a spoon and
Lucy will marry a guy chosen for her in accordance with tradition in order to avoid getting married to members of her own family, sorry, cousin Chet. She wears similar clothes, uses technology like the wrist device called a Pip-Boy in the video game, and leads a somewhat happy and productive life with her father Hank, brother Norm, and the other members of Vault 33. But on Lucy's wedding day, things go wrong. The gate to Vault 32 is opened, and Lucy is dressed in a bridal gown that has been worn by other women before her, while her expectant friend Steph offers her some consolation and guidance. They meet the Vault residents there, who all seem a little grubby, depressed, and just plain unreliable. Lucy and Monty tie the knot at the start of their nuptials, which culminates in a feast and lots of laughs at their future shared house. Shortly after their passionate exchange ends, Norm sneaks inside Vault 32 and discovers something horrifying, but it's too late. The raiders that killed the real Vault 32 survivors are the ones who reside in Vault 32. As most of her companions are slain by the raiders, Lucy's bravery in fighting back and her determination to give up, even after being stabbed, are shown in the ensuing chaos. After saving his daughter from Monty, Hank ultimately confronts the raider commander. He has to decide whether to save his daughter or let the explosion kill the last of the survivors. He locks Lucy in a room to keep her safe after selecting her. The raiders then tranquilize Hank and take him hostage prior to the bomb going off. The residents of Vault 33 are fortunately safe, but at what cost? They had to choose what to do next after being left to pick up the pieces. Lucy tries to save her father, but the survivors won't assist her. Thankfully, Norm and Chet do. When Lucy first emerges from the vault, she sees the ocean and the ruins of a once thriving world. Maximus is dealing with his own problems in the meanwhile. He is undergoing training to become a squire for the Brotherhood of Steel's knights, along with a few others. These knights go out to recover what's left of the earth while donning formidable armor, such as customized mech suits. Ever since he was saved as a youngster by a knight, Max has always wanted to be a knight. The issue is that he struggles to fit in, failing his professors and becoming victimized by other trainees' bullying. His best buddy Dane's promotion to squire for a knight is the last straw that breaks the camel's back. However, Max's luck may be about to change since Dane ends himself in the hospital the next morning due to a horrifying incident. Max is immediately suspected of hatching a scheme to harm his pal. A teacher and a knight both confront him, but he insists on being innocent and tells them that he would devote his life to defend the Brotherhood. The position that was set aside for Dane is later given to Max, who becomes a squire for the knight Titus. He is entrusted with locating a man and dog who have fled from the Enclave, along with a few other squires and knights. Now that he is out of the training camp, Max is ecstatic to be moving closer to his goals. The reappearance of the Ghoul marks the conclusion of the episode. In the dead of night, three guys who appear to have come straight out of a western enter a cemetery in search of the Ghoul. They offer that once the Ghoul is awakened, he can assist them in finding the man and dog that the Brotherhood of Steel is looking for. But the Ghoul has other ideas. Two of the cowboys are killed by him, while the third is sent back into the casket in his place.
Some rage heart, some folks can lose into each life. Some folks can lose into each life.
Some rain, and I know that some
Shower star. Some folks can lose.
Through the wide oak forever, but I am mountains rise, fence me in.
Fallout's second episode features the target, also known as Dr. Wilzig, who is the buzz of the town as people rush to claim him in exchange for Moldaver's priceless reward. In the enclave next to the boneyards, we take in little puppies. They are examined by Dr. Siggy Wilzig, Michael Emerson and his colleagues. The physicians dispose of them in the incinerator if their weight is less than 10 ounces. Oh, this is very not to my liking. Wilzig meets an adorable little dog that is slightly under 10 ounces in weight. He chooses to falsify the data in order to retain the dog for himself, giving her the ID CX404. In the ensuing months, Wilzig supervises the dog's growth as his research colleagues hard-train the other dogs. Wilzig injects himself with a bright blue injection as CX404 cuddles up with a plush animal in her comfortable niche in the wall. Its penetration of his flesh behind his ear is visible. Unexpectedly, a researcher walks into Wilzig's area to find CX404. CX404 and Wilzig storm off the property like bats out of hell. A robot appears at the exit, its screen reading, "Please remain calm." Wilzig and CX-404 leave the area, dodging its blasts. Lucy, Purnell is moving across the sandy wasteland in the meantime. She finds out-of-service robots, tumbleweeds, skeletons, and more. Lucy lights a fire later that night and passes out. She awakens to discover Wilzig sitting close to the fire, and CX-404 killing a large, radioactive cockroach. Wilzig alerts Lucy of the dangers of the wasteland after learning that she lives in a vault. He thinks she needs to return home. Lucy says that Moldava abducted her father, and she is searching for him. Before he and CX-404 leave, Wilzig tells her to get used to her new environment. Then, in their pursuit of the target, also known as Wilzig, Maximus, Moten and Knight Titus, Michael Rappaport take off on a vertibird and head for Philly, their next destination. Wanting to fire anything, Knight Titus tells their pilot to drop him off. Then, Knight Titus and Maximus arrive at the same location. When Maximus notices the cram can, he understands that the target was just present. Maximus is given the task by Knight Titus to look for Wilzig among the dangerous items inside the cave. Maximus informs his master that he is without a suit. Knight Titus doesn't let up until a massive, radioactive bear shows up. Maximus watches in disbelief as Knight Titus and the bear engage in combat. Knight Titus is once knocked off his feet and smacked around by the bear. Maximus is told to shoot the bear by Knight Titus. Maximus does, but old KT, who has several ailments, is too late. Throwing insults at Maximus, Knight Titus gives the order to get first aid supplies. After KT continues to disrespect him, Maximus concludes that KT lacks the moral integrity to wear the power armor. The wasteland is guarded by the knights. It's past time for a true knight to accept the task. Knight Titus thinks Maximus will be killed for this by the Brotherhood of Steel. Nevertheless, if Maximus delivers them the target, they won't move 1 inch. Lucy, meantime, meets a weird man who appears to be wearing a cloth diaper. He is perplexed as to why he continues to receive sand after adding, you guessed it, sand to the water filter and stands outside his house. She asks him if he has seen a group of individuals passing through this region with a hostage, lowering her firearm. No, he hasn't. Lucy then makes her way to Philly through an old vehicle cemetery. She finds residents of the wasteland peddling their goods in what seems to be a street market. In an attempt to find out if anyone has seen her father, Lucy shows his photo to each person she encounters. They all look away from her, fixating on the vault occupant who is lost in the actual world. After taking a tube ride to downtown Philly, Lucy discovers a little city full with odd businesses. She passes the Ghoul, played by Haggans, who is seated in a rocking rocker. She notices a Vault Tech camera in Marjune Sundry's storefront. Lucy's existence surprises Marjune since she knows that she lives in a vault. She believed that those who lived in vaults had passed away. To see Lucy, she calls her associate over. But Lucy puts a dampener on everything by bringing up Moldava. Marjune thinks Lucy would be better off returning home. Unless she locates her father, Lucy is adamant that she won't. The topic of saving Vault Tech technology for humankind's future comes up. Lucy is reminded by Marjune that during the nuclear war, the poor endured above ground while the rich 1% sheltered in their fallout shelters. It's entertaining to fight classes. Lucy is expelled from Marjune's business. Lucy meets up with CX-404 and Wilzig again. Wilzig reiterates his earlier assertion that Lucy needs to return home. Then he begins to list details about Lucy that only those who knew her would be aware of. After directing Lucy to close the door to her business, Marjune goes outside and tells Wilzig to enter. Abruptly, the Ghoul approaches the three, as well as the dog. According to Marjune, his sort is not welcome here. The Ghoul says he is coming to collect a large reward that has been placed on Dr. Wilzig. He understands Marjune's wish to sneak Wilzig inside her enterprise in order to claim the bounty for herself. The Ghoul, though, isn't eager to converse. Lucy shoots a drug at him that will render him unconscious as he approaches her. However, narcotics don't help him. And then Maximus is there. In order to protect Lucy from the Ghoul, he knocks her out of the way. He pulls off the front of his helmet, gives her a smile, and motions for her to hide. As with everyone else, he is there for Dr. Wilzig. Maximus became Lucy's real-life knight in shining armor. Given that this series tackles issues of patriarchy and aspects of a society shaped by 1950s values. As Maximus and the Ghoul engage in combat, Lucy assists Marjune in bringing the wounded Wilzig into the shop. Sadly, and this is not cool, the Ghoul shot CX-404. Marjune places a heavy metal foot on Wilzig's limb that lacks feet. It's graphic. Wilzig requests that Lucy take him to see Moldaver. If Lucy has someone Moldaver wants in return, Marjune thinks this is the only way she'll be able to get back with her father. Maximus is defeated by the Ghoul outside. Maximus's power armor malfunctions due to the Ghoul's manipulation. Refusing to control his suit, Maximus soars out of downtown, away from all the activity. The Ghoul chuckles. Wilzig and Lucy go away without the Ghoul noticing. Lucy and Wilzig are currently 20 miles from their goal, having left earlier. He gives up, saying he is unable to continue. Since he consumes cyanide, his demise is certain. Lucy, who is always full of hope, tells him to keep going. She will reach Moldaver for him. Wilzig says Lucy can make a difference in the world and supports her. He begs Lucy to give Moldaver his head before he goes. He even has an item that will facilitate the beheading. She still asks him a lot of questions. To begin with, how does he know her identity? Wilzig even ends his life by saying her last name. When he dies, Lucy inhales and straightens her body. She activates the tool and gets ready to chop off the skull of Dr. Siggy Wilzig, who is desired by several groups in the wasteland.
I don't see in my heart.
To be in charge.
I'm bringing him.
If I bring back the target.
You are a vault dweller.
Please.
I'll give you 2 out of 3 on that. Have to kill him?
Cuts?
Arrest a guy like I normally do. That's what I...
Bit of a communist. Shoot away in the front.
You gonna save any of that grape taffy for the rest of it? Oh, horrible.
Lipstick.
I'll take it.
Baby.
The third episode of Fallout opens with yet another scene from before the conflict. Prior to ghoulification while filming a cowboy program, Cooper Howard is disturbed by the new direction the show is taking. We're informed they're creating a new, more patriotic Western. After spending some quality time with his spouse outside, he receives a parcel containing a vault suit, which he is supposed to test on. The scene then jumps to the present, as the Ghoul and CX-404 discover Wilzig's body's remnants in the wasteland. As the dog follows his track, the gunslinger coughs up something and is compelled to take something from his bags. Somewhere else Lucy notices that she is lighting a fire at night. She examines Wilzig's skull and attempts to determine why it is so significant. She eventually locates the chip in his neck, which, when she touches on it, electrifies her. Crucially, she also implants a tracker from her Pip-Boy computer in the nose of the head, at least for this particular episode. Maximus trusses up his injured power armor outside of Philly in the meanwhile. Brotherhood of Steel Petty Officer Shortsight queries why Titus was not included in his earlier broadcast across the communications channel. Maximus continues his deception, claiming that his squire has passed away. Shortsight tears out the module in a frenzy, insisting on sending a replacement, and then he enters Philly carrying yet another damaged piece of the outfit. He quickly visits a barber surgeon to sell off a tooth since he is low on caps, hires a merchant to patch the module, and heads back to his armor, only to discover that a gang of scavengers has decided the suit is theirs to take. A bloody brawl breaks out. Of course, this is the wasteland, after all. Maximus is first defeated, but he finally rises to the occasion and wins. After swooping overhead, a vertibird drops Squire Thaddeus in the middle of Philly. In an attempt to maintain his disguise as Knight Titus, Maximus quickly puts on his clothes and enters the building just as Thaddeus is about to fall to his knee. The elder cleric provides additional information to the new squire, stating that whomever kills everybody who stands in the way of Titus killing Dr. Wilzig would presumably control the wasteland. Lucy makes her way to Hollywood Boulevard's engulfed in a lake. She stops to try to feed a fawn at the edge of the river, but something from the grass quickly snatches it away. Before long, that object makes a full loop and snatches Lucy by her knapsack. Despite being pulled away, she is able to shoot the beast with a dart, compelling it to release her. Sadly, Wilzig lost her head on her bag, and the creature that attacked her grabbed it and hurried into the river. Lucy gets ready to go after Wilzig's head, but she stops as she hears the ghoul's gun being primed behind her. Lucy claims she misplaced it when he pistol whips her and starts demanding to know where the head is. He notices some animal excrement close by and concludes that a gulper has it, whatever it may be. We now make our way back into Vault 33. As a penalty for assisting Lucy in leaving the vault, Chet and Norman are being moved to different stations inside the vault. Since Overseer Hank is not available, 3 vault dwellers, Reg McPhee, Woody Thomas, and Leslie Uggams, respectively, have chosen to assume the role of de facto leader. The new leaders decide to assign Norm, who has shown to be a mediocre employee in every role, the task of ministering to the raiders who have been imprisoned in one of the vault's chambers after he makes indications that he hopes someone would also punish the raiders. Returning to the surface, Titus seemed to be having fun chasing after Thaddeus, considering that the latter was one of the men who had beaten him up at base. Maximus demands he complete the job on his own, despite Thaddeus' suggestion to attempt fixing his radio. As the conversation turns to Wilzig's location, Maximus describes what transpired back in Philly between him, the Ghoul, and Lucy. At first, Thaddeus is shocked that he allowed the Ghoul to survive. The Brotherhood obviously has no regard for people of their kind, but then he takes out a gadget that can follow the Ghoul's radiation trail. This takes them to the somber location of Wilzig's corpse. They walk off in the footsteps of CX-404 and the Ghoul after Maximus reassures his squire that the Ghoul did it, and not Lucy. Back at the shoreline, Lucy is being tortured by the Ghoul, who has her bound up and repeatedly dipping her in and out of the water as she attempts to talk him out of it. He eventually clarifies that he is not actually doing anything of the such, but rather luring the beast back to shore by using her as bait. His scheme succeeds, and the Gulper is fully exposed, a monstrous, axolotl-like creature with limbs that resemble humans and a terrifying gullet rimmed with grabbing fingers. The creature tries to consume Lucy right away and almost succeeds, but Lucy smacks it over the head with the Ghoul's sack, and after CX-404 bites one of its enemies, the creature runs back beneath the waves. When the Ghoul discovers that Lucy has destroyed the drug cache in his pack, he explodes with wrath. Aware that the Gulper digests real slow, he fastens a leash to the vault dweller and sends her on a tangential mission, perhaps to replenish his supply of vials, with the intention of returning later, leaving CX-404 growling at the water. Maximus and Thaddeus take a rest somewhere else. His squire tells the story of life in the Brotherhood of Steel headquarters. It reveals that Thaddeus was once the one being beaten, and that he simply advised the other aspirants to target Maximus in order to blend in. There's also further problem in Vault 33. The 16 raiders imprisoned in their makeshift jail are to be rehabilitated, the new leaders declare during a gathering, especially since their numbers have decreased. When Norman recommends that they should murder them instead, he incites conflict at the meeting. When a vault engineer tells the group that their water chip has been damaged and they will only have clean water for 2 more months, and that's not even taking into account their additional guests, things become worse. Most dwellers agree to assist in tutoring the prisoners, suggesting that they support the overseers. Well, except from Lucy's best pal Steph. She informs Norm that he's right to feel the way he does after losing her spouse in the raider attack, along with an eye. Furthermore, if Norm's father were around, she claims he would do the proper thing. Maximus and Thaddeus reach the lake back in the wasteland. They follow the radiation trail into the sea, straight into the ravenous Gulper's path. Maximus sends Thaddeus to the coast where he gets ready to fight. The beast swoops in to try to engulf Thaddeus after he potshots it from the coast. The monstrosity spits out everything it has consumed, including Wilzig's skull and one of Lucy's boots, after Maximus tries to rescue his new squire. As they stumble across the sand, Lucy asks the Ghoul for some clean water, but he turns her down and makes fun of her for living up in the risky area. She queries how he got to be where he was and whether radiation played a role. The Ghoul just utters something like that, before blasting away the face of the only remaining Vault Boy billboard in the area, which promotes the vaults. The final scene of the show has Cooper Howard back on set. Wearing his brand new Vault suit, he emerges from his trailer to meet with Vault Tech executives. It transpires that he is filming an ad for them. Cooper gives Vault Tech a thumbs up and a smile as he thanks them for their hard work and goes on to take some promo images for them.
I don't think it's our job to help these people.
You okay?
Treat people like this!
Count time.
the boy.
Let
For that bounty too, huh? You've been good at making money, Roger.
I know it's hard up here, but you don't.
I just reached my breaking point around 15 seconds into Fallout Episode 4, The Ghouls. This upbeat 1940s, 1950s Americana musical nonsense is too goddamned much already. Its ebullience felt more suffocating than stimulating, even when I dug up the words to the opening song, a cheesy tune about how life's worth living when nature's giving, and discovered that the computer game Fallout 3 took it from a 1950s nudist film. Any civilization that has spent 2 centuries immersed in this kind of kitsch is fortunate if its biggest concerns are radioactive bears and noseless undead. I don't think the Ghoul is a perfect villain. His shock value tough man language and his entire, "I'm you, sweetie, you just give it a little time" thing bother me so much that I think it's time to stop calling this garbage video game dialogue. What type of lesson he's attempting to teach me is unclear to me. I understood that he wasn't attempting to impart any lessons to Lucy at that moment, when he was coolly and systematically chopping off Lucy's finger in retaliation for chewing off one of his own. You want to think that he's trying to make her more resilient and shake her innocence, but the way he dribbles his water in front of her, gloats while she downs radioactive animal poop or whatever the hell it is, chops off her finger and then sells her to organ harvesters, who probably won't see her again, makes that impossible to reconcile. He is simply acting cruel because that is who he is. Just before he blows the head off a bad guy in a movie, he describes himself as a villain in an old Mexican eulogy about how a person was ugly, strong, and he had dignity. This is his old, completely human self. Cooper gives the villain a 2 out of 3 before stabbing him in the head. However, the Ghoul is now only powerful and ugly. His heinous violence to Lucy proves that his dignity has long since vanished. Despite being forced to complete a type of minigame where she must escape the movie hostel, Lucy chooses not to repay it. He trades Lucy into an organ harvesting operation in order to obtain his treasured life-preserving vials, which are the only thing preventing him from becoming insane and savage like the unfortunate guy he murders in the open. The group, which is housed in an abandoned megamart, is made up of 2 slackers and a happy-go-lucky robot named Snip Snip, who is voiced by Matt Berry. The man has an English accent that borders on Michael York or James Mason. It's a darkly humorous scenario where poor hostage Lucy's situation just gets worse. The menace of vivisection has taken the place of the threat of sex slavery. Ghouls and humans imprisoned in small cages. Freezes brimming with severed limbs. Drawers stuffed with amputated digits. Men who want live organ donation while keeping their eyes fixed on the breast tube. Lucy manages to get away, but not because of herself. She didn't realize that the organ traffickers she was ordering to be released were actually wild ghouls. She hasn't given in to the Ghoul's brutal interpretation of America, despite being born again and outfitted for life in the wasteland. That is, on a personal level, she continues to be well known in a community made up only of the offspring of those who were wealthy enough to escape the destruction caused by nuclear war and leave everyone else on their own. Despite this, she doesn't murder the Ghoul or let him perish. She gives him several vials, which enable him to resurrect and plunder the whole cache, most likely providing him with sustenance for years to come. Just like she has been saying, Lucy embodies the golden rule. Finally, Fallout has an impressively filthy mind. The moment Lucy finally gives in to her own helplessness and drinks radioactive water reminds me of a very similar, and very similarly kink-shaded, scene in which the magic-wielding prisoner Egwene gives in and pours water on behalf of her slave driver. Perhaps this is just because actor Zelia Mendez-Jones appears in both shows. All I can say is that I'm not made of stone, even though you might not have felt the same way about Ella Purnell drinking water from a trough as a towering, cadaverous Walton Goggins watches on and holds her leash. The same is true at the Vault, where efforts are underway to civilize the raiders who have been arrested while a competition is underway to replace Hank as overseer. Following a lead from an apprehended raider, Norm and his cousin Chet explore the destroyed Vault 32 and learn that its occupants committed mass murder-suicide more than 2 years before to the raiders' arrival. The only indication they have is bloody graffiti that reads, "We know the truth," and "Death to management." All of the papers pertaining to that vault and its communication with their own have been sealed, and the raiders were able to access the vault door by using a code that belonged to mother of Norm and Lucy, long lost. Chet embarks on this adventure, however, in order to escape the scene at his house, where Steph, the homicidal pregnant lady with one eye, is giving birth. Why that particular place? Because she offered her late husband's belongings, dressed Chet up in them, jumped his bones, and had her water break nearly instantly when his fingers touched her bathing suit region, all in an attempt to coerce Chet into acting against the raiders. Well, I guess any direct mention of wetness as a sign of pleasure shows a willingness to be honest in the representation of sex, which is admirable, even though in this instance Chet was a little wrong. This episode is a little off-model in that it doesn't contain any Maximus content. Fallout seems to have a winning combination of brutal violence, entertaining creatures, great gags, and a dirty mind, though I may be sounding like a broken record. Even with writer Kieran Fitzgerald and director Daniel Gray Longino replacing the original trio of Jonathan Nolan, Geneva Robertson Dworet, and Graham Wagner, it is still the case. Every episode seems like the first one of a new series.
Not if I bring back the target.
It was open from the outside.
Special.
Yeah, he wants.
I want you to. I want
Protect me. Almost done.
Oh, man. Titus?
Go back to the.
You're Squire now. You can tell me anything.
And we just have to get our story straight.
I'm sorry.
Don't leave me in.
Why can't you move?
Here.
Whole body?
Right away, left in the sleeve of my armor. You can have it. If you get this medicine, you're gonna pass out.
What's your name? Hiding in this one, which is...
Why? This is the thing you're asking. What? But why?
The hunt for Wilzig's head doesn't go as planned when Lucy and Maximus reunite. While traveling together in Fallout Season 1 Episode 5, Norm and Chet uncover more Vault 31 secrets. As he keeps pretending to be the Knight Titus, Thaddeus and Maximus are celebrating at the start of the episode. They can go home now that they have completed the task. Max decides to come out since he believes Thaddeus is someone he can trust. However, Thaddeus reacts with evident shock and indignation. Maybe Max should have refrained from branding Thaddeus with the Knight Titus emblem. When Max realized he couldn't trust Thaddeus, he attempted to kill him, but Thaddeus defeated him. When Max uses a key to disable the suit, he finds himself trapped inside of it. Indeed, the dog follows the head of his master, so Thaddeus takes the head along with the four, and they set forth. The next morning, Max is still confined inside the suit and is dehydrated and exhausted. A swarm of cockroaches emerges and tries to break through the suit. Lucy steps in to rescue Max. She has experienced a lot, yet she is still far from being ready to trust. Lucy is suffering from radiation poisoning, and Max offers to help, but the medication she needs is inside his suit. Thankfully, Lucy makes the sensible decision to help Max remove the outfit. Max gives her the medicine she needs to recover even if she passes out. When Lucy awakens, they decide to head out together to find Wilzig's skull. Lucy is the only one who knows where to find it, and the Brotherhood of Steel has everything she needs to save her father. Max seems to click with Lucy right away, even if he could be taking on more than he can manage. Setting off on a voyage with only Lucy's weapons, Lucy and Max leave the suit behind. Their divergent perspectives on the post-apocalyptic world become evident very quickly along the trip. Their opposing viewpoints blow out when they halt and notice there's another guy and lady ahead of them. There is a mutual distrust between our heroes and the outsiders. The four of them should raise their hands as they pass, Lucy says, to stop weapons from being used. The outsiders attempt to kill Max and Lucy when the four meet each other, though. With a single shot, Max eliminates them. The foreigners, he informs Lucy, were fiends, another name for cannibals. The fact that practically everyone in the wasteland is awful and unreliable has clearly infuriated and confused Lucy. Her anger grows when she learns that, following the apocalyptic event, the world made an attempt to restart without warning her vault or, presumably, any other vaults. Information that her vault, Vault 32, had received told her that they were to be the ones to restore society. The world had tried without the vaults, but it was unsuccessful. They find a hospital as Max's injury becomes worse. Max is more reluctant to get inside, while Lucy doesn't hesitate at all. When he eventually follows her inside, he finds a door that leads to medical supplies. Since this is the end of the world, it is not surprising that the door handle is gone when he attempts to enter the next door. He is trapped between two doors and is dropped through a floor opening. Lucy is the first to glance around when she eventually wakes up. When Max wakes up soon after, Lucy tells him they are safe in another vault. Speaking of vaults, Chet and Norm resolve to keep what they found in Vault 33 to themselves, but a new issue has surfaced, a vote to select a new overseer for Vault 32. Given that Betty has already served as an overseer, it would seem inevitable that she would win, yet, an even more unsettling revelation is made. Although Norm claims they are unaware of Vault 31, it is evident that the survivors of Vault 32 were aware of it and made an effort to enter when they were slain. When Steph is taking a shower, Norm pays a visit to Chet, who is on baby duty. Given that Steph and his father are both from Vault 31, Norm is worried. Norm asks her right away once she gets out of the shower regarding Vault 31. Steph skirts the subject by responding in a semi-prepared manner on how the mashed potatoes tasted different. The mystery surrounding Vault 31 is furthered when Norm discovers that all of the overseers of Vault 32 and Vault 33 are derived from Vault 31. As expected, Betty wins the election and meets with the whole vault the next morning. For some reason, Vault 33 gets completely rebuilt, repainted, and cleaned in a single night. The bloodstains, remnants, and evidence of the incidents had all vanished. After revealing her plans to resurrect Vault 33, Betty plans to split up the survivors of Vault 32, with some relocating to Vault 33. Even though Norm isn't sure whether he can trust Betty, he does ask where his mother's Pip-Boy is. He's told by Betty that she buried it with her.
We travel together. Get the heck.
Lucy!
Yep, it's me, Cooper Howard. I'm going to show you a vast of the nuclear age. Butte she is. Now this corridor here of radiation on human DNA. Wait a second, did you say living down here?
Conducting a 5-year trial of Vault 4.
Well, I may play a hero. Take Vault today. Because if the take. You happy? Coming out. Okay.
In Q3 after a 10-year stint at what's kind. You know, I oversaw the...
It's cost a lot of good men and women their lives.
And most people think scale means increase more in them. It's
that?
Management.
Ooh, listen to the hi-fi. A few hands.
It's at our house.
I'm heading into enemy territory.
Patience and anchorage, you're having a serious...
Howard!
Well, I only do it for close friends and beautiful. Perhaps when you finish your shift.
You mind? Well, shit.
See what active friends they want to be seen celebrating.
Trailers. Lonnie Lewis said it was on...
Bad case of the clap. Which way the wind is blowing. And it's that to that spinning robot they sell to... No, I got 186 voice saying, "Hello, sir, do you want to sit down?" Hollywood is the past. Forget Hollywood. Embrace that.
Aye, Bartholomew.
Boys, are y'all...
There's no fudge yet.
Say so.
Fallout Season 1 Episode 5 left Lucy and Maximus in an unexpected vault. They'll immediately discover this vault is very different from Lucy's, despite the fact that it seems similar. In the meanwhile, viewers discover more about the Ghoul's previous life as actor Cooper Howard and his spouse's connection to Vault Tech. Believe us when we say that it's not good. The first person to greet Lucy and Maximus is Birdie from Vault 4, a kind and soft-spoken woman. We watch as Lucy and Max have a very awkward but natural chat while they are under quarantine because of their exposure to the outside world. When Lucy asks Max directly if he wants to have sex, he responds with complete bewilderment and ignorance.
Overseer Benjamin, this is Lucy and...
Things to be aware of. Stay out sign-up sheet, please let me know. Embarrassing than getting it wrong. Souls or bathrooms, birdies.
People have one eye.
Well...
Ever
a job in payroll when she's 15.
back to being a real cow? No. You would look very good. Too much news lately.
But Askins, trust me, I know sidelines.
All I'm saying is,
Evolve.
we've got money. We can buy a Sorry you couldn't.
Yeah, and for what?
What do you mean for what? You're doing all right.
It don't matter. Do you know what fiduciary source the survival of the human race to Vault?
Capitalism, Charlie.
But they can't sell Vaults. I don't know.
Race and with dignity. It was a great...
Everything. And after 10 years of war, the it's ready to set the world on fire, Cooper. Works.
Wife prefers not to take work calls in the evening. Is Janie asleep?
She's reading Little Help. That's all.
Says who?
It's clear that the Brotherhood of Steel provided him with essentially no sexual education. When he rejects, Lucy isn't too bothered and they wait outside a door that could indicate they would be test subjects. However, they do at least assist Max with his injuries. Lucy is reminded of her home by the vibrant and cheerful survivors in Vault 4. But Max is extremely wary, as he always is because of his surface-level experiences. But it takes Lucy a minute to understand that something is up with Vault 4. First of all, survivors from the outside world are welcome to stay in the vault. Secondly, and perhaps more obviously, not every survivor has a completely human appearance. An example would be Overseer Benjamin from Vault 4, who only has one eye in the middle of his face. Ben is amiable and bordering on silly, but he cautions Lucy and Max about visiting Floor 12. Despite being a vault and having a lifestyle like to Lucy's, there appears to be a strong emphasis on science and scientific research. Lucy chooses to join the survivors after learning about all the advantages of living in a vault from Max, but she subsequently comes to regret her choice. The survivors congregate while singing and humming. They pass around the ashes of their dead and start to strip half of their bodies before unveiling a big flag with the name Moldava. Cooper Howard is now effectively promoting Vault Tech and presenting Vault 4, which will house scientists.
A house that rings with joy sounds corny and a car.
I heard it was a Ghoul that used to be the best bounty hunter
Around here.
It's called...
Some will even move in ahead of schedule as a trial. Despite being a well-known and gifted actor, Cooper dislikes the parties and the abundance of wealthy people. He is unable to escape the lifestyle, regrettably, as his wife, who also happens to work at Vault Tech, hosts parties at their residence. Cooper talks to a few people but is able to get outdoors and speak with actor Matt Berry. With nearly everyone being labeled as a communist or red, Matt confides in about how Hollywood and the world are changing and how the future is moving from movies to things. You're not insane if his voice seems familiar. Matt sold his voice to be utilized for robots, similar to the one that attempted to take Lucy's organs in episode 4. And if all of that wasn't enough, Cooper starts to learn more and more about Vault Tech and the work his wife performs there. We find out that not all of the vaults are excellent after a disagreement over why dogs are not let inside, upsetting his daughter. In preparation for the end of the world, Cooper's wife has been making concerted efforts to secure a secure vault for her family. Even though the first episode tells us that the world ends, all we know at this point is theory and precautions. But when Cooper receives an invitation from a friend who is also an actor to attend a covert meeting where they talk about the true nature of vault tech, his perspective may shift. Even though Cooper isn't persuaded, he shows there, and it turns out that Moldaver is in charge of the meeting. The Ghoul awakens in the present, when he is captured by many men who accuse him of damaging their business, after being in a somewhat inebriated and drugged state. When he is taken to their supervisor, he does not apologize for his role in the devastation at their facility, which included the release of ghouls, the deaths of staff members, and maybe a wrecked robot. Is he filling in for Lucy, then? The two men that brought the Ghoul in are easily killed by him, but we're not sure what is in store for the mercenary. Lucy returns to Vault 4 and warns Max after escaping the vault occupants' fairly unsettling show. To her astonishment, though, Max likes living in the vault and likes watching TV, popcorn, bathrobes, and slippers. She goes to floor 12 in an attempt to persuade Max that Vault 4 is hazardous and discovers individuals in medical tanks and chambers. She sees a horrifying video clip, and then a scientist walks into the facility. Lucy tries to hide, but she is discovered, and the alarm goes off. Arriving as she strikes the scientist are the residents of Vault 4. The episode ends on a dramatic cliffhanger as Lucy is unable to defeat them all.
Some of us will be moving into Vault.
I'm telling you, radicalism is...
Welcome to Vault 4.
Fusion core.
Sandra? Lay it, Palmer, huh? But today, had a date in the hills 2 years ago. Brand new team of believers, so this was. Now, according to that very same brother, it was. Now, you give me that location.
Just including your little sister. Now, please.
Am I really walking today, but maybe.
You think of California. Didn't work out, did it? We were told a better future is a cliff than we do with the people here in power.
About all the horse shit I can take.
And those
Sponsor, and I'm not ashamed. It ends in bread lines.
Okay. My research company was acquired by her. Swept in and bought up every guys use it, the bad guys win.
Yeah.
Bought the means to end that war.
You want me to spy on? Good luck with the road.
People who aren't insane.
In the beginning, we see a father and son, who are lead farmers, searching for metal objects with shovels and metal detectors. Upon their return to their little abode, they discover Walton Goggins' character, the Ghoul, seated at their kitchen table. Sandra, his daughter, is the youngest kid that the father calls out for. For a brief while, until Sandra, Alexandra Albert shows up, he thinks the Ghoul is feasting on his daughter. This father, the Ghoul knows, has an elder son named Rufus who moved in with Moldaver 2 years ago. Additionally, Rufus has been in communication with Tommy, Charlie Besso, the middle son. He wrote to Moldaver requesting refuge for a defector from the Enclave. Regretfully, that letter was intercepted by the Ghoul through Rufus, more accurately, by Rufus. To be clear, Rufus has passed away. The Ghoul then says that if the family can tell him where Moldaver is, he would not hurt them. Tommy is urged to comply quickly by the father. Tommy lets out a sigh and informs the Ghoul that Moldaver's main office is located at the observatory. The Ghoul questions whether Tommy will allow him to go without attempting to murder him. The father gives the Ghoul the assurance that they won't take revenge on him for killing Rufus. Tommy regrettably breaks that pledge. But before he can pull a pistol, Tommy is killed by the Ghoul. Another flashback shows Cooper Howard, Goggins and Charles Whiteknife, Dallas Goldtooth sitting at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Moldava, played by Sarita Chowdhury, gives a speech. But the straw that breaks the camel's back is her denigration of the armed forces. He turns to walk away. Cooper leaves the group after a little back and forth in front of everyone. Moldava goes after him. Lucy Purnell, later in the present, is sitting in Vault 4's interrogation chamber. She has shackles on. She talks with Overseer Benjamin, Chris Parnell and Birdie, Cherry and Dabbies about what she witnessed on level 12. Lucy is shocked that the destitute ladies in the capsules would be the subjects of experiments. Lucy is shown video footage of the pair from the commercial that Cooper recorded by Benjamin and Birdie. In Vault 4, Lloyd and Cassandra Hawthorne, Eric Berryman and Angel Desai write down their final thoughts from their lab. According to Lloyd, both their scientific society and their experiments have failed. Benjamin and Birdie clarify that these scientists conducted experiments on their ancestors back in the pre-apocalyptic days. Sadly, Benjamin's uncle was one of the test subjects. Lucy apologizes and says she was unaware of the troubled past of Vault 4. Regarding Vault 33's experiments, Benjamin queries her. Lucy replies that she has never tested her vault in this way. Lucy is obviously ignorant, but Birdie and Benjamin insist that she has to be disciplined. They drag her to a different spot, which we witness. As the soldiers walk her by Maximus's Moton new residence, she loudly begs. He sees her through the window, looks down at his popcorn dish, ponders for a moment before acting. Meanwhile, Johnny Pemberton's character Thaddeus hobbles in the direction of a Red Rocket petrol station. Along with his luggage, he totes Dr. Wilzig's dehydrated head. He is accompanied by CX-404. Thaddeus takes off the sock covering his wounded foot. Thaddeus gripes about CX-404's dog-like behavior. He departs after placing her inside an empty Nuka-Cola freezer. Lucy is then handcuffed in front of the residence of Vault 4. Benjamin and Birdie inform her that her punishment is going to be administered. Benjamin declares her punishment while brandishing a firearm. He takes off her cuffs when it looks like he could murder her. He's condemning her to a life of obscurity. Lucy asks Benjamin and Birdie if Maximus is allowed to remain in Vault 4. He is a decent dude. Maximus unexpectedly shows up on the scene after stealing the fusion core and donning power armor. He tells the group to let Lucy go before shoving some of the people living in Vault 4 aside. Lucy tells him that she is going to be okay. Maximus and Lucy go to the surface after he apologizes to the gang. He is convinced to give the fusion core back to Vault 4 by Lucy. They won't have much power for more than a few days without it. Fortunately, Maximus gives the fusion core back. Lucy then begs Maximus to move in with her in Vault 33. That is, after saving her father and all the Moldava stuff. Maximus acknowledges that Knight Titus is not his real name. That was the Knight's name. After KT insulted him, he saw Knight Titus die and took his power armor. But Lucy is aware of it. Since stepping out into the public eye, she has done certain things that she regrets. She still desires that Maximus settle in Vault 33. He says yes to the proposal. Oh no, these two insanely in love. In the meanwhile, Thaddeus meets John Daly's character, the snake oil salesman, who brings him to the hospital so that his foot may be examined. SOS discloses that he could provide Thaddeus with a variety of serums. He is given permission by Thaddeus to administer what he deems to be the finest. Naturally, Thaddeus receives the Ghoul transforming serum from SOS. But it mends Thaddeus's broken foot. Before leaving, Thaddeus pays SOS in bottle caps and discovers that a radio tower is in the area. He can now get in touch with the Brotherhood of Steel. The Ghoul shows up at the Red Rocket petrol station later. He tastes something scarlet on the ground, which is most likely Thaddeus's blood. He releases CX-404 after hearing her complaining inside the Nuka-Cola freezer. One day, Cooper and Roosevelt are sitting on the couch in a flashback. He notices Barb's prototype Pip-Boy resting on the counter. He attaches it to the listening equipment that Moldava provided. Co-op inserts the gadget into his ear while Barb, Frances Turner comes out carrying hot chocolate for herself, Co-op, and Janie, Tegan Meredith. Subsequently, Thaddeus encounters Fred Armisen, the radio tower operator, who also provides music for the wasteland via the radio. No requests are accepted by him. Already, Thaddeus has made contact with the Brotherhood. Here he waits for transportation. Thaddeus is impressed by the radioman's array of traps that he has set up all around the tower. Lucy and Maximus emerge out of nowhere. Thaddeus begins to shoot at them. Without a scope, he is unable to strike them though. Maximus seizes another head from a trespasser that the radioman murdered after Thaddeus runs away. He uses that to give to the Brotherhood after disfiguring it beyond recognition. He hands Lucy the head of Dr. Wilzig. After that, he urges Lucy to go to Moldaver's by herself as he heads back to the Brotherhood. Lucy begs him to go to Vault 33 and locate her. Their first kiss is shared by the two. It's really adorable. Later, as the newly designated Vault 32 occupants settle into their new residences, Overseer Betty addresses the gathering. Steph is introduced by Betty as the new Vault 32 temporary overseer. Then Steph, her infant, Woody, Chet, and the others go ahead of them into the pitch-black vault. It appears really foreboding. To utilize Betty's computer, Norm slips inside her workplace. After hacking it, he initiates a conversation with the Vault 31 overseer. If Betty has been hacked, Overseer 31 queries. The assignment hasn't gone as planned, Norm says in response, answering as Betty. Thus, 31 exhorts Betty to visit Vault 31 right now. Then Norm gives in. He hears a robot humming as he enters Vault 31 by accident. Before him he sees what appears to be a moving robot. But as soon as the camera zeroes in on him, his countenance shifts, suggesting that there's more going on here than meets the eye.
You should see it sometime.
You can. This is the only way to get you.
Hey, motherfucker, you know this is all your fault.
You're supposed to come with me.
They're never
In that war. Cold fusion.
Wait, your competition.
It's a device.
You want me to spy on my...
And your father.
It's not the first time.
Listen to me! I can...
Brotherhood, please listen to him.
running.
And we will start.
At last, the season finale is arrived. Maximus, Aaron Moten, is shown at the beginning sitting on a vertibird, getting ready to face his end. He's dressed like a knight, as Michael Christopher's character, Elder Cleric Quintus, observes. Before turning over the skull he took from the radioman's possession to Quintus, Maximus tells Knight Titus what really transpired. After looking at it, Quintus concludes that it is not Dr. Wilzig's head. He rejects Maximus's assertion that Knight Titus had passed away. As a result, he gives his knights the command to execute Maximus in public. Fortunately, Dane, Zelia Mendez-Jones, intervenes and acknowledges that they inserted the blade inside their boot. They destroyed themselves. Quintus postpones the punishment because he respects their fidelity to Maximus. Maximus is pulled away by Quintus. Quintus is reassured by Maximus that he can locate the actual head. He is aware of its location. Quintus bemoans the Brotherhood of Steel's current situation. It has changed from before. With Maximus at his side, he hopes to reimagine the Brotherhood. In the meantime, Lucy, Ella Purnell transports Dr. Wilzig's skull into Moldaver's Griffith Observatory offices. It serves as the new California Republic's headquarters as well. Among the inhabitants of the observatory is one of the ghouls she released from Super Duper Mart. Walton Goggins' character the Ghoul rushes toward Moldaver in another scene. We relive Cooper Howard's, Goggins' moment of leaving Barb, Francis Turner at the Vault Tech headquarters. Coop's new best friend, Bud, Michael Esper, parks next to him. Bud and Barb are about to have a crucial meeting with the people he refers to as Bud's Buds. Co-op inserts the listening gadget into his ear after he departs. Seeing that he can't hear Barb the farther she runs from him, he makes the decision to enter the building. Lucy storms onto the observatory's top level in the present. She notices Hank, her father, Kyle MacLachlan, confined in a cage. A Ghoul and Moldaver, Sarita Chowdhury, are seated at a table full of food. Lucy accepts a meal from Moldaver. But Lucy is eager to put this behind her. Moldaver Wilzig's head is given to her. Moldaver takes out the serum he shot in his earlobe. Simultaneously, in Vault 31, Norm, Moises Arias, comes upon an odd being. It's a robot imprisoned by some cleaning tools, well, more like a Roomba with a brain. It's Overseer 31 here. When Norm explains to him that he is Overseer Hank's kid, he doesn't realize who he is. Subsequently, Overseer 31 presents a syringe to Norm and starts Protocol 53. Cooper speaks with a young Betty, Princess Bay, in the flashback to 2077, and she acknowledges that she is unsure about Barb's availability on that particular day. Betty inquires as to whether he will meet his huge fan Henry. Cooper complies. Subsequently, Co-op puts the listening device in there. He is seated outside of Barb's gathering with Bud's buds. Barb and Bud are the representatives of Vault Tech, whereas James Yegashi's Leon von Felden represents West Tech, Michael Mulleran's Frederick Sinclair represents Big MT, and Rebecca Watson's Julia Masters represents REPCONN. Bud says he would like all of these businesses to work together on some of the vaults. Subsequently, Bud declares that he intends to outlast his rivals in the game of capitalism. In essence, they must lengthen human life. When everyone starts talking over each other, Barb adds her 2 cents. Simultaneously, we go back to Vault 31, where Nor finds a ton of enormous capsules similar huge those in Vault 4. What does it entail for 32 and 33, given that Vault 31 is meant to hold on to the finest and brightest from the planet before the end of the world? Bud informs Norm that the individuals housed in those vaults are only there for reproduction. It has to do with preserving human survival. In order to develop a kind of superhuman, the genetically fit ones will mate with Bud's buds. Barb and Bud's reunion in the past, however, takes a terrible turn. The executives of these businesses concur that profits are made from conflict, but they don't know how to increase those earnings by 2 or 3 times. Barb has a dark suggestion: they're going to drop the bomb. She claims that this is the only way to maintain the flow of funding and implement all of this post-apocalyptic things. Cooper is astounded as he uses his listening gadget to listen in on conversations. How could his wife make such a suggestion? Betty then fulfills her promise to provide the superfan. We witness a youthful Hank extending a handshake to Co-op. He's still in shock at his wife's suggestion that they launch a nuclear conflict. Moldaver informs Lucy that Hank has kept a lot of secrets from her in the present. As the Brotherhood is ready to raid the Griffith Observatory, Maximus expresses gratitude to Dane for sparing his life. He tells them he met someone and that he intends to meet up with her at Moldaver's main office. Moreover, Maximus reveals his intention to move inside Vault 33 with Lucy. Dane finds Maximus's excitement admirable, but no one ever quits the Brotherhood of Steel. Then, aboard their vertibirds, the Brotherhood departs to take the target. Shady Sands is the sign that civilization has returned to the surface, as Moldaver recounts that Lucy's mother, Rose, was able to deduce. Rose knew Hank was lying to her when he informed her that her concept was stupid. With Lucy and Norm in tow, she made her way to the surface. Regretfully, Hank found them, abducted Lucy and Norm, and destroyed Shady Sands with fire. Lucy remembers being at Shady Sands with her mother. There, she met a younger Moldaver. She therefore felt the sun at that time. Lucy is informed by Moldaver that she brought the previous cold fusion. As you may remember, Cooper was informed by the Moldaver some 200 years ago that she had created cold fusion technology, but Vault Tech acquired it. According to Moldaver, having an endless supply of energy will transform people's lives. It could bring mankind back to its former state. Hank strongly advises Lucy not to trust Moldaver. Now, Moldaver's cold fusion technology was deemed exclusive when Vault Tech acquired it. A reliable Vault Tech employee is the only one who can turn on the cold fusion. She must have Hank's code. Before Lucy realizes what has happened to her mother, she asks. Gazing at the ghoul seated at the table, she looks. The jewelry around its neck is recognizable to Lucy. Rose McLean is that. Lucy begs her father to give Moldaver the code while crying. Hank raises the white flag after a few entreaties. He makes a code punch. The activation process begins abruptly. In the meantime, Norm is shocked by what he discovered about his father. Hank and Betty are on a list of reactivated helpers that he sees. Bud stops him from leaving when he attempts to. Hank then tells Lucy his part. He maintains his integrity and says that what he did was necessary to protect mankind. All Rose did was obstruct that. It is evident that the cold fusion is fully prepared. However, the Brotherhood shows up just as Moldaver is ready to put it to the test. Dane, Maximus, and the others storm the New California Republic headquarters while Moldaver goes to ground with her warriors. The battle is extremely violent as Moldaver's foot troops are defeated by the Brotherhood Knights. After her father finishes explaining his behavior, Lucy stands in complete disbelief. He destroyed a whole civilization and sentenced her mother to live as a ghoul. That isn't hip. Maximus encounters the ghoul along with a few other Brotherhood members as he heads for Lucy. Before the nuclear war, the ghoul admits he was a soldier in the military and wore the power armor. It was flawed in design. Ghoul fires at a single knight to check if the defect is still there. It is, in fact. The knight passes away. Lucy is still being convinced by Hank to let herself into his cage. A knight staggers into the room and collapses. Maximus comes out from behind the dead soldier. He meets Lucy again. Declaring himself to be her father, Hank asks Maximus if he may open the cage. Maximus acts without hesitation. Hank takes control of the fallen knight's power armor as they are conversing. He informs Lucy that she will accompany him. Maximus lashes out at Hank, furious. Regretfully, Hank uses the power armor to strike Maximus so forcefully that he promptly passes out. Lucy attempts, but is unable, to wake him. Lucy pulls a revolver and points it at her father. Until she shoots at him, he doesn't think she'll injure him. He takes a gunshot to the cheek. The ghoul calls out to Hank as it appears out of the darkness. He remembers Hank as a superfan back in the day, when he was much younger. Hank is naturally horrified to discover that Cooper Howard is a ghoul. The ghoul demands to know where Hank's family is as he aims his weapon at him. Hank remains silent. The ghoul lets Hank go rather than firing the trigger. While the ghoul rants about how there's always someone pulling the strings, even when everything seems to be falling apart, Lucy makes fruitless attempts to rouse Maximus. He discloses that over 200 years ago, large suits in a boardroom chose Lucy's whole existence, including his wife. Hank is moving in the direction of the boss. If Lucy would like to accompany them, the ghoul will allow her to do so. Lucy gives Maximus a kiss and says she will see him again. She then takes a gun to the head of her ghoul mother and leaves the observatory with her erstwhile prisoner. Maximus awakens later. He yells for Lucy. Moldaver staggers into the room, holding onto her side. She is hurt. Cold fusion is activated by Moldaver. Lights appear everywhere in the metropolis of Los Angeles. Moldaver sits next to Ghoul Rose and clutches her hand even though she is dead. "We succeeded, Rose," she murmurs. Moldaver observes the lights and then dies quietly. Dane and the other men from the Brotherhood then locate Maximus. Dane believes Moldaver was slain by Maximus. The others, including Dane, cheered for Maximus the Knight. Maximus makes vain attempts to clarify that he did not kill Moldaver. In the meantime, Lucy, the ghoul, and CX-404 head for the top one in search of some desperately needed clarifications. Hank arrives to what appears to be New Vegas at the same time. This is the beginning of the end.